ActivePanel basics and go over a little bit of the hardware. If you had an older screen or projector in your room and now have an ActivePanel, you're in for quite an upgrade. This is designed to be a completely standalone device. So meaning you don't need to plug in your computer and use it as a projector, right? You can absolutely do that if you want, but it's not necessary with the capabilities that we have on this ActivePanel. So you still have the option to connect and hardwire to the panel. So our panel does feature what we call 20 points of touch, meaning that if we have 20 kindergarteners, each with one finger on the panel, and I'm going to show you, they can each have one finger on the panel writing. So I'm using both of my hands right now, and the panel will actually detect all 20 of those points of touch. I'm going to quickly and easily erase my annotations here with my palm, which is a new feature of the titanium ActivePanel. But I also have a block eraser that came with my panel that's provided. So very convenient, makes for really smooth transitions and just fewer steps for teachers. Your panel also has 15-watt speakers on either side of the center console. Great for videos, movies, music. The sound is really amazing. You don't need any additional speakers unless you are really want a loud sound, but they are very great speakers. You also have multiple HDMI and USB ports, not only on the front of your panel, which is really convenient, but also on the back. So if you do choose to connect those computers, maybe a wireless keyboard, things like that, you're more than welcome to do so. We also have a USB-C port and a cable that came with your panel. Oops. So that's really convenient because if you do have a newer laptop, that panel, that cord will give you sight, touch, and sound, as well as charging your laptop. So one cable, so you kind of roll them all, which is super convenient. So caring for your panel is pretty easy. We just ask that you don't spray any liquids directly onto the panel screen. So use one of those microfiber cloths. You can get them at the Dollar Tree. I've seen big packs of them at Marshall's or TJ Maxx. And you don't need really any liquid to get the fingerprints off the screen. So you can use that. If you do have custodians that come into your room, like I said, we just ask that you spray onto the cloth to disinfect, not onto the panel. We don't want any liquids to drip into the frame or the speakers. Okay. So like I said, interacting with your panel is extremely easy. Your panel comes with a few pens. Can we just make sure that we're all on mute? I'm getting a little bit of an echo.
I'm telling you, we don't use nothing but no fan down. They don't care who you sell it to.
Thank you. Okay, so interacting with your panel can be done in several ways. Your panel did come with pens. You can use your finger. We have a block eraser, but we've seen all sorts of things, which is really great. So our pens are not actually, there's no technology in our pens. Our pens are just fancy pieces of plastic. So if you lose it or it goes walking away, as these things tend to do, it's all right. You can use the end of a marker with the cap on, or people use pointers, mechanical pencils. We've even seen teachers have some students use tennis balls. Those younger students that are still working on some of those fine motor skills, like gripping a pencil. So the panel will recognize just about anything. Again, we talked about the 20 simultaneous points of touch. You probably wouldn't want to have 20 kindergartners up at the panel at once, but just so you know, it is possible. Okay, let's talk about our center console. So this is where we're going to access our power button, our volume, our unified menu, which is some of our Promethean apps, and I'll talk more about that. Your freeze button. So if you do have a computer connected and you wanted to maybe check a personal email or take attendance, but you didn't want that information up on the panel, you could freeze the panel screen so students could continue their morning work. You could go about your business on your laptop and then unfreeze the screen when you are ready to share it again. The no touch button is great for when you're transitioning students between classes or periods. And I know students sometimes, especially with a nice touch screen, they get very tempted to put their hands on it. So the no touch button, you'll see the icon up in the upper right corner. That will just deactivate any touch features until you press it again. So students cannot manipulate anything on the panel. And lastly, on our center console here is our source button. So a source is going to show you anything that you have connected to the panel. Just like at home when you have an HDMI 1 or 2, those are your sources on your television. You'll be able to press that button and see whatever you have connected. So maybe it's a computer or a Chromebox or an Apple TV, things like that. Okay, so that is going to allow you to see whatever you have connected and actually easily move back and forth between the sources. We also have proximity sensors, and I just want to mention these because sometimes if you have these enabled and turned on, your panel will maybe flicker. And what they do is they detect motion. So anytime you walk in your classroom, that panel is going to power up and turn on. So I kind of have mine off for the most part because I have dogs that walk in and out of the room constantly and it drives me a little nuts. So I just opt to keep my proximity sensors turned off, but that is up to you in your classroom. Okay. Talked about our ports, both on the front and the side. And these are just very conveniently located for you to hook up any of those devices or your computer. And some optional equipment here. I happen to love my wireless keyboard because if I want to sit at my desk or if I want to use the Microsoft Word app on the panel, I really don't want to use the on-screen keyboard for that because it gets really time consuming. So then I'll just pop in my wireless keyboard and I can sit down and type up on the panel. Okay, very quickly with the remote, pretty self-explanatory here. Pretty much the same controls that we've talked about on our center console, with the exception of the blackout button that is on the remote only. And this will make the panel appear that it is turned off. So sometimes teachers like to put on some relaxing music, but don't necessarily want a video to distract their students. So that's one way that you can keep the sound on and the screen off. Okay, or if you just want it to appear off, but don't want to have to restart it over and over, that's a great way to turn the screen off. Okay. Your arrows will allow you to move within the unified menu, and I'll show you what that looks like. If I can find my remote. Oh, so on the remote, when I press those arrow keys, you can see that those menu buttons will actually light up. So let's, for example, if I'm in the back of the room and I'm watching a video, I can take a screenshot by using my camera app, just all with the remote. Okay. So just another way for you to navigate from a distance. Any questions on the hardware aspect of the panels before we dive into the apps? If anything comes up or you think of anything later, just drop them in the chat and I will make a document and be sure to answer all of those for you and send them back out if I don't get to them. All right, so our unified menu. Your unified menu is also pre-installed on the panel. No need to go looking for any of these apps. They're available within arm's reach from wherever you decide to stand. So they're accessible from either side of the panel or from the bottom of the panel. So it's just really personal preference. So you'll see these black and white carrots on either side and from the bottom. And what's great about our unified menus, they actually float on top of anything. So if I had my computer plugged in and my kids were looking at my computer screen on the panel, I could still access this menu and use my capture tool. I could annotate right over it, and things like that. So super convenient. So within the unified menu, we have our locker. I'm going to use my annotate tool here so you can see what that looks like. So here is your locker. The locker is what stores all of your apps. So this is where you're going to find all the apps that are not in your unified menu. You're also going to find your settings. You're going to find your files, photos, and things like that. So if I press on my home screen here, close out my annotate, and I'm going to show you what the locker looks like. So here are all my apps. On my first page, I have my Promethean apps. And then I have some apps that I've downloaded like PowerPoint, Google Drive, YouTube, and then some fun educational apps like Bookmarks, Brain Pop. I have Google Earth and apps like Padlet, Duolingo that my students can come up and interact with. Let me just pause for some questions here. Okay, Brian says, can you use the remote to navigate through? So Active Inspire, that's a great question. Active Inspire, I believe you'll be able to touch Active Inspire, but I don't believe that the remote would work. So any of the interactions that you wanted to use on Active Inspire, you would do directly on the panel. And Nearpod, I believe Nearpod should work because I know like slides in PowerPoint does, but that would be something I would have to check on. I don't have Nearpod on this panel. Wally, that's a great question. I'm going to go over our user profiles. And then Minerva, projecting your laptop. So depending on what kind of laptop you have, you would just use a USB touch and an HDMI cable, and you would plug that right into the panel. And your IT department can help you determine what kind of cables you need, since I'm not sure what kind of laptop everyone's using, and some schools teachers have different ones. So that is something that Brandy or myself or your IT department can help you with individually. And let's see. So Wally, I'm glad you said that because that was actually my next point. So after our locker, so like I said, our locker has all of our apps. We have our settings information like the serial number and the firmware that we're currently running. And any websites that you have bookmarked, we will actually appear in your locker as well. Let's see. Shirley's, I'm not sure what the district is having you do for login. But for Promethean, I'm going to share this with this district as well. So I'm going to put that in the link for you right now. and you can sign in there. But I'm not sure what your specific district is having you do to sign in. That this is just the Promethean sign in. Okay. So next in our unified menu is user profiles. So if you see in the second icon here, after the locker, it says Andrea. So this is where I've created my profile. And each panel can have up to 8 user profiles. You can also lock it with a password. I'm not going to sign out because I don't want to lose my presentation, but so you can set your own PIN or password. And this is also where you would access something called our Cloud Connect. So depending on if you use Google Drive, OneDrive, some people use both. You can actually sign right into your account and link that to your user profile. So now when you you're able to access any files right from the panel without having your computer connected. Okay. So I have my Google Drive and my OneDrive connected. So now if I go back to my files, you'll see on the side here, my USB and then my Google Drive. So anything that I have saved in my Google Drive is available. No computer required, okay? As well as my USB flash drive. So very easy to access all of your files without the need for a computer. So Wally, did that answer your question about login? Is that what you were referring to? Okay, what are you trying to log into? And feel free to come off mute, Wally, if it's easier. Okay, so when you turn on the panel, you're going to see an admin profile. Now, if that profile is locked, then that's going to be something that your IT administrator has to unlock for you. But once you're in that owner profile, you would just go ahead and add yourself as a user, and then you would type in your name and set a password. And this is a multi-step process, so I will definitely provide you guys with the step-by-step on how to create those user profiles. But when you first turn on the panel, when it's new, you're only going to have an owner and a guest profile. So you need to go into that owner and add yourself as a user.
But it's asking for some kind of code.
Oh, so okay. Is it a 4-digit code or a 16-digit code? Oh, I think you're frozen now. You there, Wally? Okay, we'll come back to Wally. I think he froze. But I will send you the step-by-step instructions. Your IT might have put a password on them already. So I will find that out for you. So let's dive into our Promethean apps here. In our Promethean App Suite. Oh, hi, Wally, you back? I think you froze for a little bit. That's okay.
This is actually for a pin. And I don't know what pin is actually for.
Okay, so it seems like the IT has already put a pin on, does it say owner? Or is there a name on the
Yes.
profile? It says owner.
No, it just says owner, and it says please enter your PIN.
Okay, yeah. So for some reason, your district has locked those. So I will figure out because you're going to need to get into that to add yourself as a user. So that's something that they might have done on installation, which is a little strange, but I'll find that out for you so you guys can create your profiles today, okay? All right, so our Promethean App Suite is all come pre-installed on your panel, so you don't need to download these either. They're all created by our developers at Promethean and created from teacher feedback. So whenever there's an improvement or an update or something that's frustrating you with our software, we do take these suggestions very seriously. And even in the 6 months that I've been with Promethean, I've seen so many improvements, little tweaks that teachers have been asking for. So, don't be shy if you're getting to know the product and you think something could be better. Reach out to Brandy, who is your local rep, and she will forward that on to our product development team. And they really do make some awesome changes that teachers ask for. So these apps are very user-friendly, very easy to use, and they're meant to maximize instruction and increase student engagement in your classroom. We do constantly update them, and a lot of those are over-the-air updates, so you won't even need to do anything other than just update your panel. Okay, so let's jump into our Whiteboard app. So from left to right, we have our Whiteboard app, our capture tool that allows us to screenshot, our Annotate app, which is what I'm using right now, allows me to annotate over anything on the panel. I have Screen Share, where I can wirelessly connect up to 39 student devices and share up to 4 screens onto the panel. Really fun for kind of creating a little healthy competition and gamifying our activities a little bit. And last, our activities player. So those are our Promethean App Suites. They're found within the locker and also within our unified menu that we discussed. So let's open up our Whiteboard. So the Whiteboard app is designed to be a space where students can come up to the panel and interact, and also where you can take notes and jot down ideas or brainstorm. So our Whiteboard works just like your typical Whiteboard app. We have a pen and a highlighter tool. You can long hold those down or double tap them to change the thickness. We have 5 default colors, but then by pressing on our painter's palette here, you can have several more options. So using that writing touch technology, what I love about this panel is that it's designed to be an infinite canvas. So you're never going to run out of space. I'm going to switch back over from my pen to my cursor tool, which is the arrow here. And now I can manipulate anything that I've written by using my 2 fingers to pinch and zoom. And I can kind of move things off to the side or delete them with 1 tap. So we also include pre-installed charts and templates to make your note-taking even easier. I love using the T-chart and bringing images in from the internet and having students collaborate on a sort. For example, if we were studying living and non-living things, I could easily add words and or photos to my graphic organizer. So let's say I was having students generate a list of living and non-living. Okay, people are still in the 10 a.m. Okay, it's a different link for the 11 a.m. So they would have to exit the 10 a.m. and join this session.
Thank you.
Sorry. So if students were generating lists of living and non-living things, we could open up our Chromium browser and easily pull pictures from the internet into our whiteboard. So I'm going to go ahead and now I'm going to utilize my capture tool, which is that blue camera in the center. And I'm just going to take a screenshot just as if I was on my phone. I can crop it down, hit done, press open in Whiteboard. And now I can add as many images as I want to my notes. So let's say that when I was done taking notes, I wanted to share this with students. What I would do is tap on my three dots up here. This is going to be above our floppy disk. This is going to give you your saving and your export options. So when I tap on that, I would export this PWB file, which is called a Promethean Whiteboard file. And I would export that as a PDF to my students. So now I know that you guys use Canva, or sorry, Canvas, different app, Canvas to distribute things to students. So if I had Canvas downloaded on my panel, it would appear here just like my Google Classroom does. So I could tap on my Google Classroom or my Canvas app, and I would have the option to choose which class I wanted to send that PDF to. So now students have this note at these notes at their fingertips and can use them at home immediately. Okay. Any questions on the whiteboard so far?
Yeah, how do you pull images from the internet while you are on the whiteboard?
Good. So let me show you that again. So I went to my locker and I went to the Chromium browser. That's the native web browser that's installed on every panel. And I'm going to search this just the same way you would on a computer. I tap my unified menu and my capture tool right in the center. And that takes a screenshot. Automatically, when I take a screenshot, the panel will ask me, when I say done, the panel will ask me if I want to open it in the whiteboard.
Yeah, how do you take a screenshot? I mean, just once again, come again, please.
Sure. Do you see this blue camera in the center on the bottom?
Yeah.
Just tap that and it will take a capture of anything that's on your screen.
Okay.
No, I don't see a blue camera. I don't.
Can you tap on the white caret at the bottom or press the flame to pop up your menu?
Yeah, I don't see a camera.
Yeah, you see a capture?
So the capture app is in your unified
Yeah,
menu.
capture. I see it.
Got it? Cool.
Yeah, I got it.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. So that will automatically open in your whiteboard. So very quick and easy to screen capture something. Or let me give you another option here. Let's say that I was working at home and I already selected all the photos and saved them into my Google Drive, or I saved them to a flash drive. So I didn't need to go looking in the internet for them. So I'm going to tap on my gallery right here. And first my charts and templates are going to come up, but then if I go down to where it says gallery, all of my photos are already here. So anything that I've screen captured will get sent to my gallery, or anything that's on my flash drive. I happen to have a flash drive plugged in right now. So let's tap on my computer. And now I have another image that I can add to the non-living category. So there's two ways. There's screen capturing and there's uploading from your gallery. Two ways to add pictures to your whiteboard. Okay. Now there are also some customizable backgrounds and colors that I can use in the whiteboards. So I'm going to tap on this icon right here. It looks like a hashtag or graph paper. And I can actually change the background paper on my whiteboard. So if I'm an elementary school teacher, I can add some handwriting paper. And now I can actually change the color as well. So by pressing these lines, the 4 colored lines, I can change and make those lines a little bit darker for my students. And now by choosing this color palette, I can actually change the background color as well. Okay. In addition to the handwriting paper, we have music staff, graph paper, regular line paper, and these as well. When I'm on my cursor tool, I can actually kind of shrink and zoom however I want. So if you have students that have trouble, writing this, too small, or they write too large, you can actually have them write. And then if I switch back over to my arrow tool, I can pinch it and zoom out, and that writing will stay on the lines. Okay. So I'm going to change my color back to normal here, get rid of my lines. And I'm going to show you just an idea of an activity that you can do with students. So this is a multiplication activity. And all I did here was I went to Google and I just typed in multiplication tables 1 through 12. I just took 2 screenshots of the same thing and I brought them up in my whiteboard. And now I'm going to add in another element of our Promethean App Suite called our spinners. So back in my unified menu, I'm going to go to my locker, and my spinner is going to be right here on the front page. Now, spinners are really, really great ways to get students involved, to brainstorm. We have seen teachers use them for writing prompts, math problems, just about anything. And the spinners are wonderful because you can completely customize them. So you can put your entire class list, up to 60 students if needed, into a spinner. So right now I have my numbers 1 through 12 spinner pulled up, and I'm going to hit this little tiny plus sign on the spinner, and I'm going to open up another spinner. You can have up to 4 spinners on the screen at once. So for this activity, students would take turns spinning their spinners and have to multiply the 2 numbers together. So I'll show you. So we have 4, and we're going to multiply that by 9. Okay, so I'm going to bring my my pen tool. I'm going to put it on the fattest one, so it's like a kind of like a bingo dabber here. Not there we go. And now I have 4 times 9, so student A would come over here and just make a little dot on 36. And now you could play this as a bingo game, little competition, that kind of thing. You could play in teams, so lots of fun here. And there are also actually some spinners that come pre-installed. So specific timer, you would just tap that little pencil that's right next to the name of the spinner. And you could go ahead and, like I said, you could add up to 60 items per spinner. When you're done, you just want to make sure you save the spinner, okay? Don't do all that work and forget to hit save. And one thing that's really nice when you're working with student names is by tapping on this little settings wheel right here, I can select that students are only chosen one time. So their names will not be removed from the spinner, but the panel knows to only choose each student one time. So this basically becomes your new popsicle sticks, right? For calling out students. I have a question in the chat. Shirley's of the unified menu is, you can find it on either side of your panel. So it's this tiny little white carrot that's on either side and then in the center on the bottom. And then you can also press the white flame in the center of the console. That will bring up your menu as well, in addition to the white flame on the remote. Brian, that's a great question. I believe you can have, I think up to over like 40 spinners. It's a lot. I want to say it's 40 or 60, and I'm messing those numbers up in my head now, but either way, it's a lot of spinners. So you definitely have enough to have, if you're a high school teacher and you have multiple sections or periods, you can have one for each class list and then some. Does anyone have any questions on how I got these multiplication tables into the panel? Cool, let's keep going. Okay, so we did some whiteboard examples. And I want to talk about something called multi-windowing. So this is a feature of the titanium panel that I really love, and it allows you to use 4 apps at one time, all on the same screen. And it gets a little tricky, so if you do have your panel in front of you and it's unlocked, go ahead and get up and try it. And I'm going to show you how this works. So as a teacher, what I need to do is have all my materials open and ready. So any websites that I want, any whiteboard files that I want, or a YouTube video, kind of need to find those things first and have them open on the panel. So I'm going to open a few things here. I'm going to open a whiteboard file that a coworker and I created about monarch butterflies. And it has this really cool little note catcher. And what I'm going to do when I multi-window is I actually split my screen. So I'm going to move my content that I want to see all the way to the left. Now, down on the bottom, right here, you can see there's some docking options. Minimize, expand, close, and then you have these 4 white squares. So I'm going to select the first one, and what that does is it's going to flip my whiteboard so it only takes up half of my screen. My map that helps me track these monarch butterflies is an interactive map. I'm going to move it over to the right. So I'm going to press again the other button, the second one, where the large white square is on the right. So now my screen is split in half. I'm able to navigate through this map here and track where people have seen monarch butterflies. I'm going to go to this one that's up near me, Buffalo. And that's a picture we were looking at before. So on July 13th, this monarch was spotted in Arcade, New York. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to expand that picture. And just like we practiced, I'm going to go to my unified menu, capture a picture of that butterfly. I just want the butterfly. And clearly it's in the adult stage of life. So I will tap done, open in whiteboard, and now I can add that to my note catcher. So we have a butterfly in the adult stage, and I'm going to go ahead and just make some notes. So it was on 7/13 in New York. We spotted a monarch butterfly. Okay, so now that's 2. I told you that you could have 4 apps running at once. So I'm going to show you how you can add one more. And that you can do up to 4, but I like 3. And I'm going to show you how we do 3. So what I just did to pop this window out, I kind of swiped up on this gray bar. So let me open that back up. Let me show you that again. All I did was kind of drag my knuckle or my finger and I swiped up. Now you're going to see these 4 these little dots appear in the corner right next to that X. And I'm going to actually use these and reshape my window. So I'm going to make it even smaller. I'm going to fit it right up in this corner. And I'm going to now add a 3rd element, which is going to be a YouTube video. So I'm going to go back to my locker. I have my YouTube app installed. And I'm going to open up a video that I have saved. So I have one in my library about a monarch butterfly swarm. I'm going to put it
heart of this grove.
I'm going to put it in full screen. And again, I'm going to swipe up on that and have it pop out. And now I can adjust it just like I did with my website. Fit it right in here. And now I have 3 apps open at the same time. And when I want to take notes, the video will not be affected. It won't stop the video. Any questions on the multi-window? It's something that you're definitely going to have to try when you get your hands on it. But let me know if you have any questions on that. So if I pause it, I can, let's see here. I don't want that. There we go. So I can pause it on any part that I choose. I can again go to my unified menu. I can annotate over this YouTube video. And now I can take a picture if I want. And send that into my note catcher as well. Okay, so I have multiple sources that I can take from to create a nice living document for students. Okay, no questions on multi-windowing. Okay, we've got about 5 minutes, so I want to move on to our final topic, which is our screen share. So screen share is also going to be found in your unified menu, and it allows you to connect to student devices and for students to display their work or their findings from their personal devices onto the screen. What we like about this is it's very secure. As a teacher, you are in control. Nobody can take over your panel screen unless you allow that student to join. So depending on your student devices, there's a desktop application, there's an Apple application or a Chrome extension for screen share. So it's any iOS, Windows, Mac device can join screen share. All students have to do when they enter screen share is put their name in and type in the code. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to join from my phone and show you how this can work several ways. So I'm going to log in as a student here. I'm going to put in my code. And I'm joining from my iPhone app. I'm going to tap on these little people here in the corner, and I'm going to be sent to a waiting room. The waiting room allows 39 students to wait at once. And as the teacher, you can choose up to 4 devices that can share their screen. So I'm going to start broadcast, and as soon as my students enter the waiting room, I'm going to be able to see them, see their names. So here we go. I'm going to check that box, and then I'm going to hit share. So now you are looking at my phone. So I can actually use this as a mobile document camera. So if I had an example of student work, and I wanted to share that with my class, and I wanted to walk around the room with my phone or my iPad, I could walk over to a student desk and share their work, or students could share their own work. But as a teacher, I now have a mobile document camera. So I'm going to use my capture tool. I'm going to take a screenshot of this work, and I can now share this easily with parents, or I can just add it to my notes. So this is really great for jigsaw activities. Students can each take a part of this Frayer model here, or this mind map. And if you assigned one group to find a picture or write a description of the egg, you could share the screen of one person from each group and have a jigsaw activity where students all contribute to one final document. Yes, it is very, very cool. And students are very into it, and it gives them just enough responsibility. You know, if you say everybody, okay, join the waiting room and be ready to share, then they don't know which 4 you're going to choose. So it's a really, really cool feature. Kids love it. Teachers love it. If you want your computer on your desk in the back of the room, you can connect your own device and screen share. And you don't even need to be in the same room or on the same Wi-Fi, which is the cool part. So if you have students that are learning hybrid or learning from home, they could still actually share their screen. So we love our students.